I want to make a definition. So here's a definition. Let M be a Turing machine, which for some input x halts after t steps. Then we say that the time required by m on the input x is t. We say that the time required by the input by the machine m on x is t. I'm sorry, my handwriting is terrible. We say that m operates in time f of n if for any input x the time required by m on x is at most f of the length of x. The at most is pretty critical here. Well, it is and it isn't. There's an implicitly a worst case kind of consideration happening, basically. But like I said, Turing machines can be always made precise, so this at most can be gotten rid of, but it's better to leave it. So that's kind of what it means to associate like a function of time with the Turing machine. And now that we've done that, we're almost ready to define our first kind of complexity classes. But before we do that, we still have a little bit of philosophy left to do. So suppose that L1 and L2 are languages decided by M1, M2, operating in times F and G. So F is for L1, G is for L2. Suppose that F of n equals G of n plus 1. So what we mean by this is that the Turing machine that computes L1 takes in all computations around one extra step than L2. Should we really regard L2 as hard, or sorry, L1 as harder than L2? No, of course not. Even though it does take more steps, that's too granular to bother with. That's going to produce a theory that is impossible to, it's not going to produce meaningful things to say, right? We're thinking about the difficulty of problems on a broad scale just kind of by design, and taking one extra step on a computation means nothing on computers that are doing billions of steps a second. Uh, it's just it's not worth making a distinction. So even though these functions are the same, even though this function is always bigger, it would be a mistake, I think, and most would agree with me, to think of L1 as a fundamentally harder problem than L2. We should regard L1 and L2 in this case as the same difficulty. We should regard them as the same difficulty. A slightly more difficult question to think about is what if f of n equals 5 times g of n? So consistently 5 times more more steps. Now, I'm sure most people would be tempted to say yes, we should probably regard f of n as a fundamentally more difficult problem than g of n, but that's not true either. Here too, we should think of these as the same difficulty. Let's think about why. Why should that be the case? Well, it really comes down to alphabet size. Uh, the bottom line is that M2, in this case, what I can do is I can catch up, I can make a better Turing machine out of M1. How do I do that? What I can do is by increasing the size of the alphabet, by increasing the size of M1's alphabet, I can encode multiple steps in one step. I can encode 5 steps into one and speed up the computation. That's the bottom line, is that you can always increase your alphabet size, and if your function operates at time f of n, then your function can actually work in time. Then your machine can actually, you can always make a new machine that works at any constant multiple of f of n. So this is known as the linear speedup theorem. I want to write it down. Um, so let me summarize what I just said with this. Uh, Linear speedup theorem. So the linear speedup theorem is this. So suppose L is decidable by M in time f of n. Then for any positive constant c, um, there exists a Turing machine M prime which decides L in time c times f of n plus n plus 2. Now, there's some complication here at the end, but the bottom line is that the important part is the cf of n part. The important part is this. Don't look at this for now. Ignore this for the time being. And basically, what this theorem says is that if I have a Turing machine that works in time f of n, then I have a Turing machine that works in time c times f of n for any c. So if I want 1/5 of the time, if I want 1/100th of the time, there's a number of symbols that I can shove in and rearrange the action of m to make that the case. Um, Now, of course, what complication does this actually prove the n plus 2 part? Well, the plus 2 obviously provides nothing. It doesn't mean anything. The plus n basically would only matter. This only matters if if really the operation time f of n grows slower than n. But that never happens. Um, that really never happens because um, how do I explain why this never happens? If you have a machine that works in time less than the length of the input, let's just think about a piece of tape. Here's x, its length n. Erase the x here, go away. Right, if I have n cells, just to scan the input, would take n steps. So if I had a machine that operates in time less than the length of the input, then that would mean that I could compute the answer without even reading what the input is, which would mean that the problem is trivial. So it's not necessarily the case that your time is always less than n, but in the times that it is, the problem is trivial and we don't really care about it. So that's why we can kind of ignore these two. And the linear speedup gives us the fact that, and so the linear speedup theorem, what it does is it sort of confirms for us um, that constant multiples like that, just because f of n takes 5 times, just because the computation we found for L2 takes 5 times as long as L2, we should even then regard them as the same difficulty. Um, and so what we're really interested in then, um, what we are really interested in, I don't know, maybe I should say broad strokes of growth rates. Right? Suppose f of n is, I don't know, 3n squared plus 5n plus 12. Right? Suppose this is the number of steps it takes. Well, uh, really only care about n squared. It doesn't matter what this number is. It doesn't matter that this is even here because n squared grows so much faster. Who cares about this? It's really just this guy. And so that's kind of what we're going to need in order to discuss this with any kind of nuance and finesse. We're going to need kind of some notation and some vocabulary in order to focus on the part of this that actually matters for determining difficulty. Because in terms of difficulty, we really only care about the n squared term.